Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I get to sit down with the band Nobody from Jersey. Without any further ado, here's the interview. I guess we should start this interview just like I start every interview with the artist I talk to. And the first question I want to ask you is, what is your first musical memory?
You want to go first, Chris?
Yeah. That I don't. I have a first instrument memory and a first live performance memory. My first instrument, my grandfather got me a drum set when I was like 6. I think he picked it out of a dump, and it was all beat up, and it probably just needed some love, like some new heads, and to be dusted off. But that was like my first, like, wow, this is mine. Like, it's an instrument. Holy moly! And so I was like 6, and then when I was maybe 7, that actually ties in. Because my first concert ever was Hanson at the Meadowlands. It was like a free PLJ concert.
Great.
And, we went to go see Hanson. My mom took, I think we stayed home from school that day and went to, check them out. I always thought Taylor Hanson, Zach Hanson was the coolest kid because he was like me. He was like a kid that was playing drums in a band. I was like, what? I want to be like that dude. And so, yeah, that's probably one of my first experiences that they tie together.
Yeah. Basically what we're trying to do now is just make Hanson happen all over.
We need a third brother. We gotta complete this.
We need a third guy for sure. And like long blonde. We should just grow out our hair real long. Have like a third brunette guy and be like, we're the brown Hanson.
Yeah.
Dark.
Our hair don't grow like that though. My hair gets. Your hair's like mine. It's like that Italian thickness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so musical memories. My parents had an old piano in the basement, and I recall kind of doing what a kid does, which is like you just kind of bang on the keys until something happens, and then you're like, whoa, okay. And then I don't know, I guess I ended up playing. I had some piano lessons as a kid, and that's kind of where it started for me, which is kind of cool.
Awesome,
guys. And then they got rid of the piano by breaking it into a million pieces when I was gone one weekend. And I was like, what?
The same thing happened to my drum set. It was crushed and thrown into a dumpster. And that was that.
Who has done this to you? My goodness.
Oh, I was so mad.
I had to make room, I guess. It was necessary.
Were you guys raised in like a musical family? Like, did everybody in your family kind of play music? Were they big fans of music?
I mean, yeah. I'll start.
Oh yeah.
My it's funny. I just reviewed recently like my dad's taste in music, and it's funny. Like my dad's kind of the wimpy one, and he was like super into like ELO and the Moody Blues. And I was like, man, you're kind of wimpy. He's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, yeah, because like my mom listens to like, I mean, she's super eclectic and like will readily listen to heavier stuff. But I would say my mom is not musical, but she sings constantly. Like she sings all the time. Like we'll sing, she does, or I do what she does now. Basically we'll sing things around the house. I'll just walk by and be like, and the cat is outside and I'm gonna go mad because the neighbor's cat is over there. And like, that's just who I am. It's pathetic.
Yeah, I would agree as well with that. Like my dad always sang something like that too. He had like his own rendition of the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang song that we sang growing up and we harmonized. I remember that probably is my first musical memory, actually, now that I think about it. I was young, 2 or 3, like we're doing it was instead of Chitty Bang Bang, it was Haliaka. And I don't know, we just sang it to the same melody. But
Wait,
yeah,
do it. Remember it?
Haliaka, oh, you, Haliaka. I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but it's just like that. And that's definitely my first music memory. I take back what I said earlier, although I can't renege on Hanson. But my dad listened to the same, always in the car, man. He always had the same music in rotation. He was listening to either Seal or U2. That was it. One of those two artists, Seal or U2. So I got to know Seal and U2's music very well. And my mom liked The Doors and Rush. So it was that playing. Plus PLJ, whatever contemporary music was around in the 90s from the 80s as well. And we commuted. We were living in Jersey, but we commuted to Staten Island. I spent a lot of time in the car as a kid, so I was always hearing those songs on repeat. And So yeah, they don't play. My grandfathers on both sides play, and my uncle on my mom's, one of my uncles on my mom's side plays as well. But like, neither one of my parents play. My sister doesn't play, but we are very like musical.
Awesome.
That's interesting. You got that family connection. Like I've always heard. Yeah, I inherited, I think, the musical blood from not immediate family. Like I have a great grandfather, I think, that like just went off and played everything. Like would just walk into a bar, and if there was like an old piano, he just like la da 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 da, and like he was that guy. And I have my dad's cousin is the only other musical person who is alive that I know of. He played drums for Slightly Stupid for a while, but that's it. And like that was like a long time ago. That was like, I think he now has like a steel drum band that he like
Piano Island Sound on Instagram.
Island Sounds.
Yeah.
Piano's Island Sounds. Yeah, but yeah, no real immediate musical things. It's weird for me because my immediate family like can't sing, which is funny because like I can't sing around them. Like I would feel weird actually singing like because they'd be like, "Ew, stop."
Well, heard that. It sounds like you guys definitely come from two like slightly different backgrounds, but yet there's some similarities in that, which kind of brings me to which next, like after you kind of started playing music yourselves, do you remember the first time that you played live? Not necessarily together, but just in general.
Yeah, what was yours, Chris?
My very first, I played in a couple bands before Ryan and I got together, started making music, but my very first performance was doing karaoke, maybe like 4th grade or something. I might have been like 9 or 10. I did Crocodile Rock at the carnival in our town.
Yeah.
And that was my first performance, like in front of more than just like 4 people. There actually was a little crowd that gathered by the end of it. Like it really boosted my confidence, and I think I discovered my love of performing on a stage at that point. And then, yeah, like talent shows after that, definitely more karaoke came. I don't do it anymore because I don't drink anymore, but there was there was a time. And then, yeah, I was in a couple bands before Ryan and I got together, started making music. But yeah, I'm sorry. So go back to your original question. Yeah, first time, St. Ambrose Carnival, probably like 2000, 99, 2000, singing Crocodile Rock.
Wow. Which is funny because, me and Chris have talked about this before, where my first memory of Chris is like really, if I go back, is in the 7th grade. We had like a music class together, and I guess someone busted out, like the music teacher, to kill time or whatever, busted out on a karaoke machine, and he sang that song, and I was so jealous because I knew all the words and I was going to sing that song. And I've never gotten over it, and I'm still talking about
I'm sorry. Don't hold that resentment, bro.
Hey,
so mad.
It's brought you guys together.
Yeah.
Which is actually the next question I wanted to ask is, sounds like you guys have known each other for a hot minute. How exactly did you start Nobody from Jersey? Was it like something that you just kind of fell into because you guys were friends, or was it just like, we got to start something?
Honestly,
go ahead, right? Yeah, you take that.
Yeah, it was a weird thing because what's good about this is that these questions work together well. Like I won't count like my 5th grade. I guess you play it like a flutophone in school and whatever, and like that. I'm not going to count that as like a musical performance. But like really, my first performance was a couple years ago when we started playing live shows. Like I got into music, at least playing instruments and doing all this much later than everybody else I've ever met. So basically, in college, I played soccer, but I have bad knees. My one had already gone, the other one was going to go, and I was like, I kind of need something new to do. And I've always been gravitating to music through different parts of my life, and ended up picking up an old beat up guitar and doing that at school. And then we and him both graduated, and I needed strings for my guitar. He was working at the Guitar Center that I happened to go to. And basically I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. How, and we just talked as old friends because we hadn't seen each other. Because we've known each other since I think we were like 11 or something. Yeah.
6th grade, we had the same homeroom in 6th grade.
Right, we had the same team. Yeah. So we're in the same class. I hadn't seen him for years, and he hadn't seen me. And so, we just struck up a conversation. I was like, "How are you? What's going on?" And to him, like, I know his reaction was like, "Why are you here? Why? Are you, like, you don't belong in a music store."
We don't sell soccer balls here, bro.
No, because for me, it was like I was like the athletic person who did that thing. Chris, he was in bands as like even when we were kids. So I, was like, I like to play, make things and create. And he was like, "Huh, weird. Like I like to do that too." And we were like, "Huh, let's try to get together sometime." And I think it was one of those things that people normally say, and they mean like, let's get together sometime. Goodbye. Like I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you later.
Both had been like real friends, and like I wasn't full of it. He wasn't full of it. And I think like even a week or so later, we got together and just played, and it was just a great experience. So that's pretty much how it's.
Awesome.
It locked, man. It locked. We just had that chemistry off the bat where, like, when we started jamming, it just made sense. Like, everything flowed. And, obviously there was it wasn't perfect, but it was very good for what it was, considering that we just got in off the top. Nothing went in there pre-rehearsed. Like, wasn't like you learn the cover, I'll learn the same one, and I'll play the bass and you do the guitar. We just went in there, and I don't know, we probably just set up a drum loop on the internet, and maybe I started doing a bass line, and then I started doing a lead thing, and it just worked, and it felt good. And that was it after that. Once we realized we could do that off the rip, it was like, okay, let's get a bunch of these together and start arranging them. And that's how the songwriting began. So that took us, we did that fairly quickly. Like within a month of jamming and like just messing around, we started like composing stuff. Mm-hmm. And it happened very, very quickly.
And Ryan, you and I talked a little bit before the interview started about the recording process, and your first single, which is, I believe it's Crown Anchor, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's like really first single that we've really made a single. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought it was really interesting how you kind of started the recording process and basically how it's flowing into what you're doing now. So can you guys describe kind of like the writing and maybe the recording process of that and how that kind of leads into what you're doing now?
And that's a Chris song originally. Like you had that first. So start with that backstory.
Originally, yeah. So I had that little guitar lick for years, and like I went through a phase. I have a hip hop EP, so in my early 20s I was making a lot of beats and I was doing a lot of rapping, and I didn't share that because it just wasn't what I was destined to do, but I had fun doing it. And that song originally started as like a beat for something that I was going to try to write lyrics to, and it was just on the back burner, and I never came to writing lyrics. I kind of had a bit of a hook, but I always loved the melody and the instrumentation, but I never did anything with it. And I don't remember if we were scrolling through like our individual songs or how it came about, or maybe I busted it out on the guitar one day at a jam, but like Ryan heard it. I think we were at my house. I can probably almost remember the exact moment, and we each had a guitar in hand, and I started playing that, and then you started doing your thing, and I was like, everything I had before is just boom out the window. Like now we're doing it this way. Like this song is never going to be the way it was. It's only going to be the way it is from now on. So I mean that's still sad, dude. We were, I think that we came up with that. We started working on it, or like tinkering around, like before we even like released the first album stuff. And when it came to second material, we were like, this has got to be it. Like we have to work on this right now. And that was when we went in the studio and like we heard it. It kind of was just like naturally. Some songs when you go in the studio are just naturally more complete on that first take. And that was one of the more complete songs after our first day or two in the studio. And we were like, let's go. Let's run with this right now. Let's get it out there. Let's share it. We were like, it was getting close to warm weather at the time. So we were like, let's push this right now. Let's get it out to share it. While, it's got a very beachy vibe to it. So yeah, we pushed it. We got creative. We gave ourselves a deadline, gave ourselves some pressure, and then turned that out. I don't even remember how long it took, but it doesn't matter. I think that it came out not exactly how we imagined it, but like exactly as like the reward factor is like.
And then he was gone.
The song was just too powerful for him.
That's when I was making that thing.
So yeah, you froze up a little bit there, but the point still stands. I guess now we should probably hop into, well, as your name suggests, you guys are in New Jersey, correct?
We are both
Correct.
from Jersey.
Okay, so
Not born in
Not-
Jersey.
Yeah, not originally.
not born, but you live there.
Correct.
We
yeah.
live.
Awesome. So, how is the music scene, especially for your type of music, like the alternative rock scene in New Jersey? And maybe you could talk about some of your favorite places to play, and maybe like a memorable show that you've had there.
Music here is kind of all over the place. I mean, the population density, as we've all learned from, this wonderful pandemic that's going on, is, you can tell where it's hardest hit is like those places where population density is insane. And that happens to be like where we live. Great. So, you can't throw a rock in like a major area without hitting someone who probably plays music, which is awesome because the music scene is super lively. I mean, we end up on shows with all sorts of different acts and different types of people. I mean, we I don't know, months ago now, but like we were on before this guy who did like, it was like he did comedy songs with a presentation, like it was like PowerPoint presentation behind it. And like we got off, and you've heard of what we do. It's like, it's very straightforward in terms of like presentation. Like we just kind of go and get everybody moving, and like we play. The songs are the songs. And this dude brought like a PowerPoint presentation. He was like in his 50s and killed it. Like it was supposed to be like a comedy act, and he killed it because it was silly.
Yeah,
Do you remember
like nerd rap. He was rapping about like his wife making muffins. Mom's making muffins. Like a song dedicated to his kids, or like it was hip hop, it was rap, and he made to like simple beats, and it was just all lyrically driven. And he went up there, and you could tell he wasn't like very like, hey guy, like he wasn't like very like outgoing before his set, and when he got off, he very much was that same guy that was like set's over, boom, I'm out of here. But when he was on stage, dude, he lit up. He just opened wide and like let that side of him out and really killed it. And I think that was the Dog Fashion Disco show, and like they're like a funky, like a alternative metal act that kind of has influences of Queen and like, for lack of better words, just weird but cool stuff. So it was like us, and then this like nerdcore rapper, and then this alternative metal band. So it was a cool set, like to be in the crowd. I guess as a musician, it was really, I liked hearing the differences, and there was a lot of old people there. Like they were down for just a good variety of music.
Sounds like a good time.
It's like really eclectic by us just in general, where it's like the last show before everything in the world got shut down was we played Brighton Bar, and it was like this acoustic act for us. Crap, I don't remember the name, but it's like a girl and a guy, and all acoustic, super light. Then it was us. And we have, we play a variety of kind of stuff. And then the guys after us were like a hardcore punk band. And it was like, all right, yeah. Like, and everybody was down for it. It was really cool. And you see that constantly where there's people just want to play. It's really, really fun. Honestly. Yeah. Like just generally art, because there's so many places to go. There's so many little bars, little like hangout spots. It's great. I love it.
That's super cool. That you made me want to go see a guy that has a PowerPoint and does nerd rap now right here in North Carolina. We don't get that here.
I'll see if we can find him. We'll trace it back and see if we can send him down your way.
Please do. That sounds like the greatest lineup ever. Now, since we've kind of talked about where your music has been, your recording process, your songwriting process, I think now we should get into one of your most latest releases, which is your self-titled album, which which has some really great stuff on it. It's got some really powerful guitars, really good drum beats, really fun, and like really kind of inventive lyricism. Can you describe kind of like the way that you kind of crafted all the songs on that, and maybe the recording process and how it's changed from maybe what you've done in the past?
Sure thing. Thank you for the compliments.
No problem.
So that most of those songs got started. We would just set something. We were working in GarageBand at this time, really just like bare bones, hi-hat, kicks, snare, drums. That's really it. And like if we really were getting creative, like we'd change the hi-hat to a ride cymbal at the part where it was supposed to be the chorus. And that was it, just straight, nothing special, just like a boom, cat, whatever, just so that Ryan and I could work out our parts individually on guitar and bass respectfully. And that's it. We went through, we recorded a lot of garbage, and then, but like we would sit there after it was done, say we just made 10 minutes of crapola. We went back at the end of that 10 minutes, and it was longer than 10 minutes, trust me. We went back at the end of that and got the gold out of there and just copy paste. And then like that's how we did our arranging until we found the parts that, really worked for us. And that kind of was most of the first album, I would say. I mean, with the exception of some songs that maybe we were in the studio and I was on the drum set and, we were just getting loud and we're like capturing the energy of that environment. Maybe with a song like, Dark and Stormy, that's one of our heavier ones, or like, At All is more of a groove. So that might have been something that we actually found in studio. So it's one or the other. We either found it in one of our respective houses, either my bedroom or his basement at the time, or we were in the studio getting loose, feeling it, and then that's what came out. And then it was always like, run to the phone, hit record right now. Like we got the voice memos going. Let's capture this while we got it, while it's hot. And then always like referring back to that when we would go. Like we would have our designated jam sessions and then we would have our review sessions, and just made time to do both. There was time to create, then there was time to like organize, time to, go in and mess around, and time to take what we got and like start trimming out the fat, like Ryan was saying before. So that kind of has been, that's how we did, the upcoming stuff too. Like everything that we currently have on the back burner at the moment that's getting ready to be tightened up and polished. I think that's just kind of our style. That's how we go about capturing what it is that we're going to turn into, something refined at the end of the day.
Right. Like in terms of a process, it's we kind of lose our minds if we don't, actually play our instruments every once in a while. So like we'll sit down just to hang out. We'll have like a session where we literally just talk about like nothing because we're friends. So we'll talk about like, hey, how's it going? Like, how's work? How's the girl? Whatever. And then we'll play. And then if it's any good, one of us will be like, all right, I'm hitting record. And that will sit for I don't know how long. And then basically that'll get brought up. We'll go, okay, it's time to sit and we'll pick out some songs we're going to work on. We're going to make it to real things. And we basically go through the list and go, this one, and pick out 5, 6. And from a process standpoint, we prefer live drums. We might move away at some point to like program drums for something different every once in a while. But like for the time being, it's like we've been kind of operating, assuming that we're going to do live drums. And that's something we'll do live, literally in a studio. So we'll rehearse, make sure we understand what the parts are. But in some cases, we don't have everything figured out. So if you listen to the album, hear At All, you hear, especially Dark and Stormy, there are like large parts of that, especially toward the end, like At All, the whole end was improvised. We had no idea what we were doing. Basically went, here's the song, and then we'll figure it out. Like we'll just play, and if it sounds good, great. If not, we'll cut it. And we had this whole extended musical part there. And in Dark and Stormy, we ended up doing this whole big thing where you bring the chorus back in the end. And it's like really powerful because it's very natural sounding. And it is because we literally did it on the fly. But basically that's the process where it's like we take it into the studio, have somebody else hit record on the drums. It's Retro Media Studios with Adam. We basically do the rest ourselves. And sometimes it's not always straightforward in terms of how the song gets done, because some of these things are coming like from very bare bones of just a guitar track and a drum track or something, and then we haven't figured everything else out. We have to kind of make everything work. But for the most part, it's kind of what Chris said, where it's like we've already sat, we've kind of structured it, we know the loose kind of feeling we want to go with, and if we're lucky, because we're not always this lucky, sometimes there's lyrics and sometimes there aren't lyrics. And sometimes there's backing vocals even, which is incredible. When we have it all set up before we even go into the studio to record drums, if that's the case, it's pretty much a miracle. But a lot of this stuff gets back to because you have ideas, you go and like somebody plays like a cool lick at some point, and it's like, wait a minute, okay, now we got to change something, and it's interesting because I mentioned it before, we do all the production work ourselves. We mix all the drums, all the instruments together. We basically go back and forth on everything. I'm primarily, I think I've written most of the lyrics, but I don't do that in a bubble because Chris is great at that too, and he knows when it doesn't sound good. Like I'll be like, hey, what do you like, this or this? He's like, neither. And I'm like, thanks.
So if people want to keep up with Nobody from Jersey and what you guys are doing with your music, how can people find you on social media?
I mean, basically, we're on Instagram. We have a Twitter that we're gonna start spinning up because apparently people use Twitter and we should too. We have a Facebook. I mean, if you search, Nobody from Jersey on any of those, we're gonna come up. And I can't lie, we're pretty handsome, so it's like you should follow.
Well done.
There you go.
Well said.
Nice pitch. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time. But before we go, I got one more question to ask you both. In all my interviews like this, along with playing music, I also love film. I think the two mediums are pretty closely related, and I feel like musicians also have a soft spot for film too. And so I'll end us with this. What is your favorite movie?
Ooh. For me, it's gonna be Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's gotta be.
Nice, dude.
That's a good
Classic.
one.
Oh, Mel Brooks, so good. Just so easy. Like I quote that movie, and no one knows I'm quoting that movie because I just know it. So I'll just say like, he's dead. D dead, and no one has a clue. No one has a clue because it's like, why would you say that? I just love it. It's like silly. What?
Call the locksmith.
Abe Lincoln, where? Like, I mean, I can't. It's one of those movies that's like silly enough for a kid to get it. When I first watched it, I was like, this is just funny because it's silly. Like it's Mel Brooks. It's like got that ridiculous humor, but at the same time, if you go back as an adult and like really dig into what's happening, like there's a scene like early on where like they're introducing Maid Marian, and it's like the camera kind of comes in like as an establishing shot, and then all of a sudden like it cuts to her because that's what you would do in a movie, and then it's like panned across her like this, like where the camera would be, and you just see like as the shot goes on, she's like brushing her hair, whatever, and like the camera that would have continued the shot crashes through the window, and it's like as a kid had no idea, but as an adult I was like, that's like so brilliant because you're breaking the fourth wall, and it's like clever. Oh, I love that movie.
I love movies like that. I always think of Naked Gun when like they do like where they're on the set thing when they go to the police station. He walks around the door, and they don't mention it ever again. He just goes around the door.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. It's great.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, okay, Chris. What about you, man? What's your favorite movie?
It's hard. I can't answer your question without first just giving a shout out. Like I love horror and sci-fi forever. And the one Ryan and I agree, like we have a mutual interest in, or mutual love rather, for the Lord of the Rings. We'll always be quoting those movies while we're out jamming. Potatoes. So there's that. I love horror and sci-fi and fantasy, but my two, there's a tie right down the middle. Got to be one over the other. Can't happen. It's Goodfellas and Fight Club. Those movies I can watch on repeat all day. I used to leave them spinning, like when I had the DVD player, like they just would be on, so that I'd be out doing whatever I was doing, and then I could just look to the TV real quick and be like, all right, and then get back to work. Yeah, I absolutely love those movies, both of them. They're both extremely well made. David Fincher, Martin Scorsese, like, really, really just great movies, well acted, and can't say enough about them. Really can't.
Thanks to Nobody from Jersey for sitting down with me and talking all about their music. If you want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashCom College, or you can find us on Instagram at Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.